Hello and welcome to Graphic Vandalism 731. I'm Johnny Alpha, and I am trying a new take on a series of videos I did a while back called Why You Should Be Reading Image Comics. I'm going to do this first video on Descender by Jeff LeMire and art by Dustin Nguyen. The first trade paperback for this just came out. It's called 10 Stars, and it's only $9.99. If you are a sci-fi fan, this book's pretty much a must-have, and at $9.99 you really cannot afford to pass this book up. I am a long-time fan of Jeff Lemire's work, and I'm very happy to see that this book follows in the fine tradition of his breakthrough masterpiece work, Sweet Tooth. But what is also great about this book is it would be perfect for fans that aren't familiar with Lemire's work to get to find out about him. And I think that if you read this, you would actually become an instant fan of his. And Dustin Nguyen's art is so moody and just beautiful, and really helps set the tone for this really amazing and hyper-stylized universe they've come up with for this book. I mean, it really just sets this tone. It's amazing. The story for this book takes place in a 9-world federation known as the UGC, or the United Galactic Council, which is basically this overarching government that kind of lords over all 9 of these sentient worlds. And then one day, these giant robots that are called harvesters just appear out of nowhere and just decimate these 9 worlds. I mean, it's like drop the population down by 70%, and then just as mysteriously as they appeared, they just disappear. And after these attacks, all 9 of these worlds basically have this culling. It's basically like this robot holocaust where they just scrap and destroy all these robots, and it's really brutal, and it kind of really helps set the stage for when our main character shows up about 10 years later. We meet Tim 21, who is this young child robot that's a companion model. So like if you have a child and like you live kind of out in the middle of nowhere and there's no other kids for him to play with, you buy this kind of robot. He's basically your kid's best friend, or you could even kind of treat him like a son, like basically what happened with Tim 21 on the moon mining colony where he grew up with Andy and his mother. Tim 21 wakes to find himself all alone on this moon colony, and to be made as a child and to think like a child, he sends out a distress beacon, which is kind of like a really bad move on his part, but it's also kind of good because it brings to light to the UGC that there is a Tim model still alive. Because the UGC are looking for a Tim model robot because they believe that the codex between the Harvester robots and the Tim series models are very similar. So they get the father of modern robotics for the UGC, Dr. Kwan, and they basically mount a rescue mission. Him and rough and tumble kind of crew that are made up of one of the main politician's daughters, this kind of badass warrior woman named Telsa, and she's got this crazy like gray alien looking dude that kicks ass with her named Tullus. They basically got to team up with this doctor and try to get to this moon to get to Tim 21 first, because since he sent out a distress beacon, they're pretty sure that Scrappers intercepted the message as well. And Scrappers are this really kind of evil bunch of mercenaries that hunt down and just take robots to be scrapped in this world called Ganesh. They take them to the Ganeshans, who are basically this race that took the robot holocaust a little further than everybody else, and they've kind of dedicated a whole giant chunk of their planet to just the eradication and just the sport of destroying these poor robots. It's kind of brutal. So these guys, they got to get to him first so this doesn't happen to their one hope. While waiting on this moon mining colony alone, Tim 21 kind of starts remembering about how his life was before his 10-year sleep, and kind of comes to the sad realization of what happened to everybody on the colony that he grew up with and loved. And it's really kind of tragic. It's very well shows Jeff Lemire's character writing and the way he can always just pull at your heartstrings with these kind of characters, because it will remind you of the movie AI a little bit, but not as depressing, because the mother of Andy, the kid that Tim 21 was to be a companion to, really came to love Tim and think of him as part of the family. And when you kind of read these flashback moments, it's really kind of sad, but you're really happy that they put this in there as well, because it really just helps humanize this story very much. Tim also finds this robot dog of his that they gave him named Bandit, and they kind of go looking for people together, or contacts together, when a group of these scrappers arrive, and Tim kind of runs to hide and kind of runs into this old mining bot named Driller, who's just, he hates humans with a passion. And he's always going on and on about how Driller's a killer and Driller hates humans, and kind of really saves Tim's life until Dr. Quan and them get here, and this is when the real adventure just begins, and you just get injected into this wonderful world, this wonderful universe where anything can happen. It's kind of very much like an anime. I can really see an anime being made out of this book very easily. It kind of has flavors of like Ergo Proxy, maybe a touch of Pinocchio, and definitely Dune in there. And we just get completely injected into this adventure with these characters, where we find out about this underground revolution of robots, and we kind of get hints at what the actual connection between the Harvesters and Dr. Quan's modern robotics might actually be. It's really, really well put together and well thought out, and like the art is just so amazingly beautiful in this. I mean, like this book is just impressive on every level. And just as amazing as Dustin Nguyen's art is, Jeff LeMire's character writing and character development is just as on point. It's very well written, very well done. Jeff Lemire has actually outdone himself here, which is saying something, because he impresses me with everything he's done. But like, I think this book is even actually a better sci-fi odyssey than Trillium was. And like that's saying a lot. I really hope this video has helped you build some interest in actually checking this book out, because it's really worth your time. It's really worth reading, and Image Comics is just on fire. They really are the best imprint on shelves right now. This is Johnny Alpha from Graphic Vandalism 731 saying goodbye and have fun, everyone.